What's up, y'all? Polo Sports Talking ENT here again with another one. Make sure you hit the like, hit the sub, comment as well. Also hit the notifications too as well. Um, I want to talk about a player that I think always gets forgotten about uh, because I was in a conversation with several people in terms of point guard play, and I think I also mentioned the other day in reference to a point guard the comparison of how they played the point guard in the past and now how they play the point guard in the present. Uh, Nate the Skate Archibald, or some people call him Tiny Archibald, but his original name when he was on the East Coast in D.C. or whatnot was Nate the Skate. Um, he often gets forgotten about as one of the one of the best point guards to have ever played this game. You know, uh, I think people really they look at guys in this modern era, and they often forget that the point guard was originally supposed to be, set up to where everybody on the team really listened to a point guard. They really they respected the point guard, and the point guard had full command of everybody. But more importantly, the point guard was the one that helped those other those other four guys that were on the floor to better their game. Tiny Archibald originally was born in New York City, uh, and that's why he played the style that he did because a lot of the great point guards that came out of New York, like Kenny Anderson. Uh, can't think of many right off the top of my head, but I just know when you think of a point guard, you think of guys that really could that came out of New York City that could really hoop. Now, one of the guys that I personally used to like, but he didn't really make it to the NBA. He didn't pan out. Was Ed Booger Smith, um, and they know him as Booger. If you ever seen the movie Soul in the Hole, it was a guy by the name of Booger, and he played New York New York style basketball and was a point guard and played. He was a street baller, but he actually played collegiately. Um, when he went, I think he went to Arizona. I can't remember if it was Arizona State, but he ended up going to college out there, out west or whatnot, and making his presence felt for a little bit. Uh, he was born on September 1948. He stood roughly about 6'1". Um, he had he had five siblings, in which he was the second. He was the second oldest. Also, he was um, he was known for being one of the only player to ever lead the league in scoring and assists in the same season. Okay, uh, he played. Of course, he played with the Cincinnati Royals. He played with the Kansas City Omaha Kings. Uh, then he played for the New York Nets. Then it was the New York Nets. He played for the Buffalo Braves, which we know now as the Clippers. and then he played with the Celtics, and he also played with the Bucks. Okay, um, you know, he was the type of player that he was driven. You know, back in the days, he would do what he could to try to better his game. And what they used to do is they used to take the they would shoot balls at 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 the concrete, or take, I think, milk crates and stuff like that in order to do it. Just young childhood stuff. But you knew then, growing up, what he was going to be destined to shine because of the the tremendous natural given God given ability that he had. Um, he in college, man, this guy, man, was able to average like 29.5 points per game, and this was before he went to when before he ended up going to UTEP. And a lot of people forget about UTEP, but UTEP is prominent because UTEP was in the Texas Western. They were the only team to start five African American players under Don Haskins. I had already talked about that a long time ago. But many people might be wondering as to why I'm talking about a guy like this. You know, it's because he played he played a style in which I feel like a point guard should really pay attention to if you're wanting to be a true point guard. He was quick and fast. At least before he tore his Achilles, because he tore his Achilles, I think, in 1976, I think it was. And uh, I think that's when he tore his Achilles. I'm not quite sure. Let me see. Yeah, it was in like 1977. That's when he tore his Achilles or not. But when you look at the numbers and you see that, this guy uh was was very prominent in terms of his playmaking. You see that he was real good in the points. Like, the numbers is in terms of the points, they're not going to jump right out right out to you right off the bat. Only in the first part of his career they are, because at one point when he was with Kansas City, like I said, he did average 34 points and 11.4 assists, and more importantly, he was shooting 48.8 percent from the field, and shooting a good percentage from free throws. And we have to remember, we have to take into account they didn't have 3 pointers back then, and so he was still able to muscle up as many points as he could just by the mid range. Well, then it was known as the mid range and 2 point shots only. When they finally did come with the 3 point shot, he still wasn't really taking that many. Now he took like just a couple, and he made a few, and that was in 81 and 82. But by then, he was a little bit older. He was older, and I think that the Achilles injury, had kind of taken a toll on him. Now he was able to get a championship playing with Boston, but I think that a lot of people they'll look at Nate Nate Tiny Archibald, and they look at that player that was once in Boston, but they're not looking at the player that was once with Kansas City and all these other teams. I think he got his number retired by the Sacramento Kings. You know, um, this guy needs to be looked at as one of the best point guards to do it, especially in his prime and before the injuries. A lot of and back then it was great that he came back, from an Achilles injury because a lot of guys didn't even get to play. He played another 6 seasons after the Achilles injury because he retired. Um, he retired in '83, but he tore his Achilles. Then he played 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, and 83. He played another 6 seasons and was still relatively productive. He still averaged. Uh, well, let's look. In '78, he averaged 11 points and 4.7 with Boston. He averaged 14 points and 8 assists in '79. And then in 1980, he averaged 13.8 and 7.7. Then in '81 went down, but his assists were still relatively consistent because he averaged 8 assists. Then he also had 12.6 points. Then went down a little bit in the point column at 10.5 and 6.2 assists. And in his final year, he only played 46 games. Uh, didn't really play that many minutes his last couple years, and he only played like 60 games. I think in '81 and '82. But when he was healthy, he was always playing the stretch of games. Matter of fact, in 1970 and '74, he played a full 82 game season, and then in '71, then 79 and '80. He played 80 games, and he played 78 games in '75 and '76 and '71. So he was able to play the full stretch. I give a 70 plus game as far as playing. I'll give you credit for that because different things take place. But Tiny Archibald needs to be recognized as one of the pillars in terms of uh, point guard play that I think often gets swept up under the rug. Uh, he was a guy. As a matter of fact, my athletic director actually grew up with him, and he he said how athletic Tiny was for that time was unheard of. And so you have to remember, and on top of that, we with the technology that we have today, I have no doubt in my mind that he would have thrived in an era like this, especially like when you got a guy that could do it all and get up and down the floor, the transition game and stuff like that. That's the type of style that he was playing. And I watched him and on film and stuff, and I just don't think that he gets enough credit. His court vision, him being able to score the ball, and he could score. Like he could really score. He could score inside and out, and it was even a better penetrator and stuff. And him being able to get into the muscle of the defense and create was just. It was phenomenal. So we need to recognize a player like Tiny, or Nate the Skate rather, and give him his just due and tip your caps to him, because this is the guy right here that if he would have played today, I have no doubt in my mind in terms of plus minuses, he he would have been up there. He would have been up there in terms of what he did. But it was just unfortunate that he suffered that injury, because he might have continued on that pace, even though it was 1 year that he did that, averaging 11 assists and 34 points, leading the league in assists and scoring. That's still phenomenal to do. We have yet to see that, So yeah, I know people can average a triple double and everything like that, like Russell Westbrook, which is still phenomenal and everything. And Oscar Robertson was able to do that too. But to be able to lead the league in both scoring and assists, that's phenomenal. That says a lot about your game. That says that don't get it twisted. I can score, I can get you buckets, and then at that time, it wasn't no 3-point shot. So he could slash and get to the bucket, or score in transition, or not use a outside shot or whatnot. And on top of that, he could get others involved. So we need to stop acting like Nate the Skate wasn't one of the best point guards to ever play this game, and really put him up there. Now, do I have him up there with like Isaiah Thomas and Magic? I don't have him on my roster. I have Isaiah Thomas, uh, then I have Magic, then I have Oscar Robinson. But I'm really debating on really changing that, because I looked at Nate the Skate, man, and I'm just like, man, this guy was phenomenal. And for that time, y'all might go back and y'all might look at it and y'all be like, man, what is this guy talking? What is Polo talking about? But you have to realize that the game has evolved since then. I'm talking about for that time, he was ahead of his time. Even in the 70s, in the early 70s, he was ahead of his time. So y'all tell me what you think. Like this video, share it, subscribe. Also hit them notifications too. And again, it's Polo Sports Talking ENT. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll holler at y'all.